Alright guys, in this video we are going to be going over how to use a graphing calculator in order to graph a function and then also find the extrema, whether it be relative or absolute extrema. Alright, so follow along. I'm going to be using an app that is very similar to the TI-83 and TI-84. It might be a little bit different, but just make sure that you're listening. I'll tell you exactly what keystrokes you should be doing. So we want to graph this function here, f of x equals 1/3 x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4x plus 2. So 1/3 x cubed minus 3/2 x squared. Sorry, I just got to write this down so I make sure I'm plugging the right thing into the calculator. And so now I'll just switch over to my app here. You can see that's a function we're going to graph soon. All right, so when you just open up your calculator, let's just go, you're just going to have this blank screen here. Up at the top of the calculator, we have our buttons that we're really going to focus on when we are graphing. So we see across the top we have y equals, window, zoom, trace, and graph. We're going to hit the y equals button. This is where we type in the equation of our function. So it's 1/3. Now the x button, if you look in the top left, we see the second button, and that's colored blue, alpha that's covered green. Right next to it, you'll see an x, t, a weird Greek symbol that's called theta, which we'll use later on in the year, and an n. We click that button, and x will appear. So that's how we enter in our x. All right, and then caret right above the division sign, 3. Make sure you scroll over, otherwise you're just going to keep typing in the exponent, and then minus 3/2. Again, hit that same x button. There is a button for squared. You could hit caret too, that would work. Then minus 4x plus 2. All right, so now we have typed in our function. Let's graph our function. All right, I graph my function, and you probably have a much more zoomed in version of the function right now. Well, we want to kind of fix our window. We want to fix the window so our viewing window is big enough so that we can see what's going on with the function. So right at the top there, you should see the window button. I'm going to click that, and then it'll say x min, x max, x scale, don't worry about, and then y min, y max. That's really what we care about. The default setting goes from -10 to 10. So all I did here was I said, okay, I want to zoom out. So what you were looking at was just from -10 to 10 in the x values. The window went from -10 to 10 in the y values. Well, we want to zoom it out, so let's zoom out to, maybe by a power of 10, we'll go out to -100 to +100 in both the x and the y direction. So you can clear that and then just type in, I don't want to go -1000. Type in -100 for your x min, +100 for your x max, so that now tells you left to right, it's going all the way from -100 up to +100. Maybe you just want to zoom it to -50 to 50. We could zoom it out just a little bit, only by a factor of 5. So just clear it and type in whatever you want. But we want to see the actual graph of the function. We want to be able to tell what's happening here. So I zoomed mine in a little bit. And so now we can see the graph of this function and what's happening here. We can probably, hopefully, identify that we have a relative max and a relative min of this function. And now we want to be able to find them. So again, using those buttons at the top, that's what we're going to be focused on. We want to use the calc button. If you see across the top y equals window, zoom, and then trace, we want to use the calc button, which appears in blue above the word trace. To ever get to those blue numbers, okay, or whatever is written in blue, we need to hit the second button in the top left corner and then click whatever button it is above. So then I'll click the trace button. And so now it brings me to calculate, and we have calculate a value, a 0, a minimum, a maximum. Let's just start off by calculating what is that relative maximum. All right, so I'm going to scroll down to the number 4, hit enter on that, And now your calculator should say left bound ? Somewhere on there. Mine says it at the top, yours might say it off to the side. Left bound means that we want to scroll to the left of our maximum. So I scroll to the left of my maximum, then hit enter once you're to the left of it. So if my maximum is probably somewhere between these 2 points, okay, I scroll to the left using just the arrow keys. Just make sure to the left of it, hit enter. Okay, now we'll scroll to the right of it, right bound. Hit enter again, and then your calculator might have you hit enter one more time. So it'll say left bound, you hit enter. You go to the left of it, hit enter. Then it says right bound, go to the right of it, hit enter. And then it'll say guess. When it says guess, hit enter one more time, and then it should pop up and tell you. Mine tells me that it appears to have a max at the point -1, 4.16 repeated. All right, so that's going to be our relative max in this case. Now let's try and find that relative min. So I hit second calc. And now I'm going to scroll down to minimum. I want to calculate the minimum. So, all right, left bound ? I'm going to go to the left of that minimum. You can be really close to it, or you can be a little bit far away from it, as long as you are only including one relative minimum in your interval. If you're including multiple, it'll just give you the lowest value of that entire interval. All right, so we go to the left of it, I hit enter. Then go to the right of it. Okay, I'm to the right of it now, hit enter. Hit enter one more time if it says guess. Mine here tells me that the minimum is 3.9999. Well, I'm going to tell you the minimum should be 4. All right, the minimum should occur at an x value of 4 and a y value of -16.6 repeated. So that's my relative minimum in this case. All right, let's try one more. All right, so we'll go back. We did that one. We found our relative min and max. Let's now do this g of x here. All right, g of x is equal to 1/4 x to the 4th minus 2/3 x cubed minus 4x squared plus 4. All right, let's go back. Let's see if you can remember the steps. If you don't, that's all right. It's going to take a little bit of practice, and that's okay. So I'm going to hit the second button, and then quit is right next to it. Or you could have just hit the y equals. Once you get back to the y equals, just hit clear. Let's clear what we have there. Type in 1 divided by 4 x caret 4. Scroll over so you're no longer in the exponent. Minus 2/3 x caret 3 minus 4x squared, or you could use caret 2, and then plus 4. All right, I'm going to hit graph. All right, perfect. Maybe you need to zoom in to see it better. Maybe you want to zoom out. Whatever works, you can click on that window button to help you. All right, so now let's calculate. I'm going to go from left to right. So I'm going to start with this local minimum over here. So second calc, scroll down to minimum, hit enter. All right, I need to go to the left of it, so I just use the arrow keys. I go to the left, hit enter. I go to the right, not too far to the right though. Hit enter, and it gives me my local minimum is -2, -2.6 repeated, or -2 2/3. All right, I copy that down. There's a relative minimum. Now let's get this relative max. So second call, I scroll down. Maximum. I am to the left of it, so I hit enter. I go to the right of it. I hit enter. If it says guess, hit enter again. Oh, the maximum occurs at 0, 4. I know it says -0.000. All right, yours might even say 4e to the -19th. That means times 10 to the -19th. So that's the same thing as 0.18 zeros, 4. All right, that's the same exact thing as 0 if that's appearing. All right, and one more time, let's calculate our absolute minimum here. So second calc, absolute minimum, which is just same as minimum. Enter. I go to the right of it, enter, guess, I hit enter again, and you should get 4, -38 2/3. All right, again, I know this was a little bit different on my app than on your calculator, but it should be pretty much the same keystrokes. So I hope that this helped. please ask me if you have any questions.